Hey, my name's Anthony,
My name's Alex.
and we are
The PTA Podcast.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the PTA Podcast. Don't forget, like and subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify. I have another guest on today, and I'm really excited to share her with you. Liana, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you
so much for your time
No,
today.
Thank you for having me.
It means a lot, man. So, Liana,
Yeah.
we met a few months ago. You ran a fantastic women's health talk with some of my female clients. They loved it. The feedback was so positive. And I know some of the clients actually went out and seeked some of your services as well and some of the help around female health. For our listeners, today is all about female health. We're going to talk a lot about perimenopause, menopause, even just, what to do to help with managing those kinds of things as a woman enters into that phase of her life, so to speak. But before we talk about all that kind of stuff, let's get to know you a little bit, all right? Over the last, say, 5 or 10 years, what's life been like for you? What is it that you actually do? Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm a naturopath and nutritionist. I suppose I really work on, I suppose my ethos is really working on people's foundational health. And I think that's just so important. I always like to really focus on building a foundation, and then we can get into the nitty gritties from there.
Yeah.
I've been in clinical practice for just about 8 years now.
Wow.
Prior to that, I was managing someone else's clinic, and I think I really learned a lot from her. She's definitely an expert in that space, but I really enjoy working for myself. And I can be really hands-on with my clients, which I really like. And I always make sure it's very individual. Someone kind of asks me, what do you do or how do you structure your appointments? I'm like, I don't, it just depends on the person, so very, very, very sort of patient or sort of client focused, I suppose. As many do, I've started off very much as what we call like a generalist. So, a clinician who kind of works with, I'm open to whatever, I think naturally you do kind of attract people from a certain, a certain section, I suppose.
So on that, just quickly, did you fall into female health, or is it a thing that you just kind of fell into? Is it a thing you focused on doing?
Funny enough, I was actually more focused on men's health initially, rather than women's health. And I still do see guys a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that just comes from, as a young naturopath, I was really concerned about taking care of my dad.
Okay.
And so that's where it kind of began.
Yeah. Okay.
But naturally, I think a lot of the clients we see as naturopaths in general are women.
Yeah.
So you gotta get with the program there.
Well, like I said to you before we came on air, like a lot of our clients are female.
Yeah.
I think it's a thing that, and I wish more men would ask for help, but females are more inclined to seek help. Just as my experience, kind of when it comes to their health, they're kind of a bit more inclined to seek help because they may be a bit more okay with not knowing the answers. I think men, and this is coming from my own experience, a bit more hesitant to ask for help for whatever reason it might be. And I've always kind of understood that when it came to working with the type of niche that we work with. Do you find it's a similar thing or not? Not really.
Funny enough, I suppose maybe a slightly different perspective, right? What I find is I do think women's health is a little bit more complex.
Yeah, for sure.
Not that both need equal attention.
Yes,
but I think women's health is a little bit more complex, a bit more nuanced, and I think that women maybe don't get as much support from the more sort of, let's say, conventional medical model that kind of suits women's specific needs. I think that's changing, but I think that's why women tend to seek support more because they can often feel a bit misunderstood.
100%, yeah.
I think that's probably what I would say.
Yeah, look, one of the easiest things I always kind of think of is in relation to what you just said, is a female's hormone profile changes, within every 24 hours, whereas a man's kind of doesn't. That in itself is like, okay, there's a lot happening in a very short period of time every single day.
Yeah.
Right? So there definitely needs to be that typical, approach to the individual and not kind of a templated approach that you could otherwise kind of get away with a male.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yes, to some degree.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in that sense, like, this is why I've fallen in love with the nuances, because one, it's always attracted me personally to understand the intricacies of the body and how it works, but also understand that irrespective of your age, there's still a way for you to be able to feel better, function better, so to speak, and improve your health irrespective of what stage of life you're in. And that's why I really respect what naturopaths do. Anything natural for me is always a big tick, right? If I can avoid, nothing against medication or whatever, but if I can avoid it, I definitely will. Because I just feel like the body's amazing as it is, and if we can support it better, it just and with how it works, it's just such a better outcome for the individual long term.
Yeah.
What do you?
The really one of the core principles of naturopathy is that the body is always trying to heal itself, right? And we've got to kind of step out of the way.
Yeah.
And it's called like a vitalistic perspective.
Okay.
So vitalistic means that the whole is more than the sum of its parts. There's more to this body than just things, just organ systems. There's more going on than that. So that's kind of one of two main differences between that more naturopathic approach compared to your more medical approach.
Yeah.
So when it comes to things like, for people and for women in general, let's say like the desire to avoid, medication, every situation is different, right?
Yeah.
And medication is not necessarily bad.
Exactly
But
right.
this is kind of like what I said before, is my ethos is really about like, let's get the foundation really set up. Because if you've got a healthy foundation, your body is resilient.
Yes.
And you can overcome things. If we kind of get out of the way, I kind of describe it sometimes as like a little bit of a Ferris wheel, and there's maybe little ticks along the way. Your body is always trying to let's say fix itself or to kind of recover.
Yeah.
We've just got to figure out what are those, what we call kind of barriers to cure. And if we can address those, let's say try to remove those barriers if we can, the body will recover and will always be wanting to kind of fix itself. So sometimes, I think that more medical approach can be really important in the short to medium term to keep people safe.
Yeah.
But in the long term, if we establish the foundation,
Yeah.
we can then go back to the GP and say, look, can we review this medication? If that's what the person wants to do.
That's exactly what I love that you said that, because that's exactly how I think. I've come to a bad reputation. For a lot of years in my career, people thought I just hate doctors and I hate medication. I'm like, no, maybe you misunderstood what I was saying. Maybe my wording was a bit off. Maybe I went full Arab on a video and people misunderstood me. I don't know. But I've never ever said that there's never a place for it. I've always firmly believed that should not be the first thing that has to be happening if you haven't delved deeper into figuring out why something is there when it comes to health, right?
Yeah.
When you mention barriers, what do you feel from your experience with all the thousands of people that you've worked with in your career? What are the top 2 or 3 constantly kind of reoccurring barriers per se to health that you find people present with in your clinic?
Let's say if I'm focusing a little bit on women, which I think I will.
Let's
for
keep
that
it
question.
women's
I'll
health.
focus on women. Stress is a big one, right? Now, when I say stress, it's not necessarily mental, emotional stresses.
Yeah.
We can be kind of talking about stress as a very general thing, both mental, emotional stresses as well as physiological stresses. So that's the overarching theme, right? If I'm looking at, let's say, physiological stresses for people, your digestive health is a big one, right? If someone, let's say if a woman's coming to me and she's experiencing hair loss, let's say it's even like a hormone, a hair loss with a hormonal pattern or not. If the woman's constipated, I'm like, we've got to address the constipation, right? And this is where we talk about kind of taking that holistic approach.
Yeah.
It's where I'm taking a step back, right? I'm not focused on the scalp.
Yeah.
I'm focused on you as a person.
Yeah.
Right. And we got to get things flowing. So I think digestive health can certainly be a physiological stressor that can impact people's, let's say, journey to recovery or journey to kind of feeling better.
100%,
Is definitely a key one.
Wow. I was not expecting that, to be honest. I was waiting for something along the lines of inflammation or something like that. But digestive health, okay.
You got to, like, in order to, let's say you mentioned something like inflammation, right? Very general thing.
Yeah,
Again,
of course.
inflammation, there's many elements of inflammation. There's many markers of inflammation. Some are specific, some are non-specific, right? But let's say in order to overcome inflammation, we need to support our liver.
Yeah.
If your liver's clogged up, because you're, let's say, constipated, how is that going to work? In order to support, let's say, really important processes that help you to manage inflammation, right? Let's say we want to talk about getting more antioxidants in the system. Again, if you're not breaking down your food very well, you're not absorbing those really key nutrients that you need.
100%.
And then again, too, you're probably not able to break down and even absorb any supplements as well. Not any, but you're not. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
it's not going to be as good. Absorption rate is going to be a lot lower. Yeah.
so digestive health, I think, is for a really key physiological stressor that I will tend to focus on if there's an issue.
Yeah.
Right?
So for all of our listeners, you mentioned absorbing. What's the difference between consumption and absorption? Just for our listeners.
Yeah. It's consumption is half the story.
Yeah.
The absorption is the other half.
Yeah.
Right?
So for example, your vitamins. You could be taking your vitamins, but your blood markers aren't shifting in the way you want them to shift. Why would that be? Would that be an absorption problem?
It
Well, could be.
can be,
Could be, yeah.
right? Now, we've got to, let's say, if we think about things like supplements, right? We've got water soluble and we've got fat soluble
yeah, exactly.
when it comes to your vitamins and minerals. So things like our water soluble supplements, you're never going to see those, right, in your blood. You'll see them in your urine. That's
Exactly,
fine.
yeah.
Don't be scared if you take a big complex and you've got bright yellow urine. That's normal, right? It's a water soluble vitamin. It's normal that we want to infuse our system with it, and we want to sort of, we're going to pee it out,
for
right?
sure.
That's normal. But again, then there's a difference between some people don't activate certain vitamins very well, and that kind of comes down to a little bit more maybe genetic reasons, or whether they've got the right kind of balance in terms of how they're able to kind of methylate key supplements. So that can be quite a personal factor as well.
Would you say as well with those kind of fat soluble supplements, having them around food is really important too, to kind of push absorption?
Good quality supplements that are fat soluble should come in a lipid complex.
So a vitamin D.
So vitamin D, you'll notice it usually comes in an oil capsule.
Yeah.
Vitamin K, it's another fat. Exactly. Do you get what I mean? So good supplements should be formulated correctly.
For sure, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But yes, generally, it kind of depends, right? Let's say like your fat soluble vitamins, sure, take with food. Most vitamins you can take with food. Your digestive system should be able to take care of that.
Yeah, of course.
When it comes to things like a fish oil supplement, for example, I would often, if people can tolerate it, which you should be able to, actually recommend taking a fish oil supplement away from food.
That's what I do, yeah.
Because we want to fully absorb that lipid. And of course, we know that fiber acts like a bit of a sponge.
Exactly
right. When it comes to fat. So
I feel a bit of on an empty stomach.
Yeah, right. There's nuances to that, right? If someone's like, look, I can never remember, I'm like, just take it when you can. But that's kind of the way I would look at it.
There's the ideal way, then there's kind of where they're going to stay consistent with, right? Yeah.
But we got to remember too, supplements are supplements, and they're there to supplement
your
nutrition.
They're not,
right?
yeah, exactly.
So your diet is really
everything
far more important than any supplement you'll ever take. And there's the same question when it comes to consumption versus absorption.
Yes, of course, yeah.
We know that consumption does not equal absorption.
Yeah.
Two parts, and that's again where the digestive function comes in.
So you're looking at people that come in with constipation, digestive issues, bloating.
Reflux is a big one.
Yeah, they're big markers to you that the absorption is not right in their body, correct?
No matter what someone is coming to me for, as I said, whether it be hair loss, whether it be an autoimmune disease, whether it be painful periods, whether it be perimenopause symptoms.
That's all
if I've got any
it's all
signs that there's a
right?
digestive issue, that's my priority number one. And I'm pretty confident more often, let's say, if we can sort of get through those digestive issues, at least 50% plus of that person's symptoms will be resolved, right? That's huge. That's a guess, right? But that's the way that I
can agree with that because I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've experienced it. I had an autoimmune disease, and I've experienced the fixing the symptom, but then fixing the root cause and what fixing the root cause actually did for me. So I can definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Now, on women's health, are you specifically focused on, dealing with women that are going through that menopause part of their life, or does it kind of vary based on just kind of look after whoever comes in your doors?
Not exactly. Yes.
Yeah?
Very much yes. Right. I think what's going on in perimenopause is not necessarily like a different phenomena for women all the time. Right.
Yeah.
Women from puberty, so from first period or menarche, are going through hormonal changes constantly.
Yes.
So it's about adjusting to the person and what they're
Mm-hmm.
kind of dealing with. But I would say that I see definitely both young women, so let's say early 20s with hormonal conditions, and especially PCOS is
Yeah.
probably a big one. I see women more in their, let's say mid 20s to mid 30s with other potential hormonal imbalances. Adult acne is a big one.
Yeah.
Adult acne is a big one for women of that sort of, let's say, 25 to 35 year age bracket, as well as PCOS and endometriosis. And then from the late 30s, mid 40s, mid 50s, that's where we are generally starting to deal a little bit more with your perimenopausal transition. But of course, post-menopausal as well, depending on how women have adapted to that changing hormonal situation, there may be additional supports that are needed for women post-menopausal as well.
100%.
So in their 50s and possibly early 60s.
Okay. So on the different stages, perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, just for our listeners, just a very simple kind of breakdown. What's the difference, but what happens in those different parts?
Yeah. So perimenopause is the time at which your hormones are going through. It is quite a clear shift. It can happen slowly or quickly for people.
Yeah.
But generally, what will trigger perimenopause is when your egg reserve is declining or coming very close to finishing.
Okay.
Right? Which for most people is in the mid to late 40s. For some
Wow.
people can be,
It's not earlier?
for some can be earlier.
Okay. I was always taught, sorry to cut in, I was always taught it was like around that 38, 39, 40 years old.
It very
depends on the
person
person, right?
specific,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Very person specific. For most, it's the mid 40s,
Wow.
mid to late 40s that can start to be happening. And a key thing is the decline in egg reserve. So once that egg reserve starts declining or is very close to kind of running out, your ovaries will start changing the way they function because they're no longer trying to trigger ovulation anymore.
Yeah.
So what we can happen during perimenopause is these sporadic increases or surges of estrogen.
Yeah.
So your estrogen can kind of start going a little bit up and down, right? But because you're not ovulating as often or as consistently as you were monthly,
Yeah.
right? Your periods can start to become more irregular,
Yeah.
but also just more erratic. So sometimes what's happening when you ovulate, that key stage of ovulation for women is what will produce progesterone.
Yeah.
And that's that second half of the cycle that happens for women before perimenopause.
Yeah.
So if you're having these ups and downs of estrogen, but typically it's quite a low progesterone state.
Wow.
And that's what it's not causing problems. It's a natural phenomena. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
But that's where the symptoms are coming from.
Okay. And the
These
symptoms
ups and
are,
downs of estrogen and this flat or quite low
Progesterone.
progesterone, which usually balances out your estrogen.
Yeah, okay. So estrogen's going up and up and up or up and down.
Yeah.
Progesterone is not moving. To
Progesterone
balance it out.
Progesterone will only be produced
When
you ovulate.
Yeah,
So you
okay.
could have some months with it, some months without it.
Wow.
Right? So it's a period of change, and how women experience that will be really different person to person.
Is that based on genetic makeup or based on conditions of the body at the time or a bit of both?
Many factors.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Many
cool.
factors.
So you
right?
can't really pinpoint it to one thing.
No.
Right?
Right? It's a really individual process, and you've got to base that on the person.
And the best way to base that is looking at their bloods, lots of, deeper looking, looking at their lifestyle, looking at their nutrition, the
Yes.
things that are important, right? Like you mentioned before, the foundational stuff.
Yeah, this
Yeah?
is where, again, we take that step back and we adopt a holistic approach where we're treating the person, not the
symptom.
symptoms.
I love that. I
Right?
absolutely
That's,
love that.
again, that is the key difference between your naturopathic approach and more of a medical approach.
Yeah.
You treat the person, not the symptoms.
I just want to mention one thing. I love the fact that you call it a phenomena, not a problem. Because for a lot of women, they feel like they have a problem when that part of their life starts. Like
Yeah.
so their body's breaking down or their body's doing something wrong or it's just, this shit part of their life, which is what I hear about a lot. And I look at them like, it's hard for a male to say, it's not a shit part of your life. They'll be like, how the fuck do you know? But one of the things that I want, that I love that you're saying is that it's a phenomena, not a problem. Because I feel like
Natural
when you're looking at from that lens, one, the anxiety around it all starts from the woman's, like from what I've seen women, it shifts to, okay, we can actually work this out. This is normal for my body to go through this stuff. There's no problem with me. We can actually work on just supporting the body better throughout this change, right?
Right. Sorry to interrupt you, but
Yeah, right.
think puberty.
Yeah.
It is the same thing, just different stage of life. Now, we know
100%, wow,
some kids go through puberty, not a problem. Some kids will have issues, right? Could be not issues, but could have, mood symptoms, very emotional. Skin problems are big ones for teenagers.
I had skin problems when I started puberty. Yeah.
Yeah,
My back was full of them.
It can be that can be a different experience compared to other kids who will maybe get nothing, right? Not a pimple in their life, you know. And it doesn't mean they've both gone through puberty, but just have a different experience of it. Perimenopause is exactly the same thing, right? For women going through, or for girls going through puberty, it's starting the process of ovulation and cycling.
And that part
Perimenopause is just
ending.
stopping it. So you wouldn't call puberty a medical condition. So why would we think perimenopause is the same thing?
I love that. Can you repeat that one more time? Because people need to hear that.
We wouldn't call puberty a medical condition. So why we seem to think perimenopause is something that needs to be fixed
I love that.
or solved. It's not the case.
Yeah. I'm thinking about my mum. That's why when you're saying it.
Right.
I felt for her because she felt like she had a problem for many years.
Yeah.
And she was upset and angry and annoyed.
We've got to support women through a change. It is a big change right now. Think of teenagers or teenage girls, say, going through puberty.
Yeah.
There's a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
Right. But you got to with teenage girls, with young girls, you kind of got to give them space and let them kind of grow through it, right?
But you also got to support them through it as well. Yeah,
right.
so,
And
I get where you're going with it.
But let's say again, like the teenage girls don't have most don't have huge responsibilities.
Yeah.
They're not stressed about their career. They're not worried about paying the mortgage. They haven't got dependents on them.
Yeah.
They're not concerned about aging parents. They can really kind of focus on themselves at that part in their life.
Yeah.
Now, women going through perimenopause often are also dealing with a lot of other
External factors that stress them
external
out.
factors, right? That don't allow them the space and the time to experience this change, right? Stress, right? And again, I'll say stress, physiological stresses, mental, emotional stresses can be a really big determining factor on the experience that women have during perimenopause.
I love how you did that comparison, and like that is so. I've never heard it put like that before. It's so good. It just makes it so clear.
Yeah,
it's really good. I like that. So we've got perimenopause. Now we're in menopause.
Menopause.
What happens now?
So as I mentioned, perimenopause, estrogen's going up and down, high and low, very quick, very erratically. Progesterone, pretty flat line, pretty much generally in a lower state. What menopause will typically say will typically occur 12 months, no period, right? Estrogen levels low, progesterone levels low. For some women, testosterone can increase a smidge, and that helps to support, testosterone and estrogen, very similar steroidal hormones.
Yeah.
That can help to provide a bit more support in terms of women's health as well.
Okay.
But that's the main shift. Low estrogen, consistently low estrogen, consistently low progesterone, possibly a slight increase in testosterone.
Okay. Can I have one question? I'm going to throw a curveball in there. It's probably we're probably going to go on a tangent, but we'll bring it back. What does hormone replacement therapy fall into all this?
Again, individual, right?
Yeah.
And
so what's the purpose of it? And what would be the kind of person that would be ideal for is, I guess, my proper question for it all.
Let's say two different situations, right? Let's talk about let me give me some space here, right? I'm going to go in a bit of a circle.
Yeah,
but I will get
for
there,
it. Go
right?
for it.
I think let's think of a woman who transitions very easily through perimenopause and menopause and never uses HRT. As I mentioned, it's a natural phenomena that occurs. So this woman, my periods are less regular. Maybe they're a little bit heavier than they were before sometimes, and sometimes they're very light.
Yeah.
But no vasomotor symptoms, which are typically those kind of hot flushes,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit of sleep issues for a little while, but generally eases off, get through menopause and all is well. I would say that woman has adapted. Their body and particularly their nervous system has been able to adapt to those hormonal fluctuations without setting off threatening alarm bells, right? That can kind of be perpetualize those types of symptoms that a woman might experience. So during and it's of no detriment, right, to someone whether they do or do not use HRT.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I mean, right?
Yeah.
We both get the outcome, right, of no consequence to you whether or not you use it or don't. For a woman going through perimenopause, I mentioned that estrogen is really up and down quite sporadically, and progesterone, if that person is not ovulating, which again, person to person, is flatlining. So for some people, progesterone as that hormone replacement, bioidentical progesterone, ideally, so progesterone that mimics our natural progesterone, can be really helpful.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
So for women who might be still getting a period every month, but are getting signs that they're not ovulating, which can be really maybe heavy periods or painful periods that they haven't had in the past, or intense premenstrual symptoms that maybe they didn't experience before, taking progesterone in the second half of the cycle for their perimenopause experience can be really helpful, right? Because I kind of mentioned that progesterone balances out your estrogen.
Yes.
Progesterone has this really nice kind of fluffing up effect in the uterus and makes your period, let's just say, easier to slough off, right? Makes that uterine lining easier to slough off. But progesterone also has very important neurological effects. So particularly for women with neurological symptoms during perimenopause, and that includes vasomotor symptoms like hot flushes as well, progesterone can be really beneficial for both perimenopausal anxiety, mood symptoms,
That's
and
what I was
hot
going to ask.
flushes.
What are the examples? But you just mentioned.
Cool. Right. So progesterone can be really helpful in that state. Sometimes, again, I think during perimenopause, it's not my scope of practice, right? That's my medical and gynecological colleagues in terms of prescribing their HRT. But I would say that progesterone is probably your first option that you should that could be explored for a woman experiencing perimenopausal symptoms. Menopause is different, right? That's where I mentioned that both estrogen and progesterone are low. So then possibly more of a combined option can be helpful for some people who experience symptoms. Now, post-menopausal symptoms of low estrogen that can be quite debilitating. I think a key one that people don't talk about a lot as well is vaginal atrophy. So that's where women experience dryness, and it can be quite painful, can make intercourse quite painful, and that's really uncomfortable for a lot of women. And estrogen can be really helpful in that situation. And it doesn't have to be a systemic estrogen. Estrogen gels, estrogen creams, estrogen suppositories can be really helpful for women experiencing that. But generally speaking, whenever we're using estrogen as a hormone replacement, I think progesterone should come into the mix for most people. And that's where, again, that more kind of consistent low dose of progesterone can be helpful to balance out the effects of HRT for women.
And you've seen clients that have, felt,
Better.
for lack of a better term, bad or off, improve from a simple kind of approach like that, yeah?
Absolutely.
Wow,
right?
amazing.
So I think, again, it's really based person to person, right? Some people might think, I'm perimenopause, I'm menopause, I need to, my doctor said I need HRT or MRT. I'm like, how are you feeling? Good. But why do you need not, right? There's no, some people I can understand the impression that some people might think that HRT or supplementing with hormones is a factor in terms of longevity. It's not. Right? There's no evidence at all that using HRT or MRT, it's sometimes called now, will increase your longevity. Not at all. Your body adapts to the changing hormone situation.
So in terms of longevity, what are the top 3 things for a woman in menopause, going through menopause? What are the top 3 things that she can do to improve her longevity, but also the overall health and well-being of her body as that phase of her life is coming? Because as we both know, maybe our listeners don't know, or they do, when there's a drop in these hormones, it affects things like bone density, it affects things like muscle mass, and they're quite detrimental to somebody's longevity, right? So what are probably the top 3 to 5 things you can recommend?
You said that. My first one, definitely bone health.
Yeah.
Right? My second one was going to be muscle mass.
Yeah.
I'll have a think about the next 3 as I go, but bone density is so important for both women and men, right?
Yes.
Men can experience losses in bone density, but later in life, because their testosterone levels will drop off later. For most men, can be like mid-60s, will start to drop off slowly. right? Maybe 2% a year, right? And that's
Mid-60s.
yeah.
We were always taught as soon as a man hits 40, his test starts to plummet.
No, it can,
Yeah.
right? We'll diverge a little bit.
Yeah.
What are the main factors there for men? Increased fat
So
mass.
yeah, so the more body fat they have, the less muscle they have, the faster the test going to take.
Yes, right. And also stress. We got to remember testosterone is a steroid hormone. So too is cortisol. If there's stress, lack of sleep, your body will always prioritize the stress response rather than hormone.
Just
Hormone
prioritize
production.
survival as opposed to healing or anything like that.
Exactly, right? So for men, a healthy men, like testosterone really should stay at its level until about, mid-60s, even
So there's
longer.
hope. Okay, great.
Oh,
I was
there's-
like, I'm 35. I'm like, gotta find some
Yeah,
steroids
yeah.
for me soon, man.
No, no, you're good, right? The main factor for men is that the body composition and other
exercising
stresses
and food and
right?
sleep. Yeah.
So if
The
men,
foundational
men
stuff,
in
who would
their,
have thought?
if men in their mid 40s, early 50s are seeing a decline in testosterone, they can be like, oh, I've got to take testosterone or I've got to take HRT.
No, that's just your next door neighbor. That's all it is.
Not at all. We got to focus on improving body composition, and key thing is sleep is a big one, and supporting stress. Right, guys, men in their mid 40s and early 50s can also be maybe peak career, big family
we're stressed,
responsibilities. Right, so there's a lot of stresses there
yeah.
too. Right, as I said, men's health is equally important. I think it's a little bit less complex than women's health, but equally important.
Call it what it
right?
is. It's a lot less complex.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah,
And
right?
I'm not, there's nothing like it is what it is. Like it's a lot less complex.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, a lot of men are made to feel like, and I know we're digressing a bit, a lot of men are made to feel like you shouldn't feel that way. Right? Why are you feeling like that? It's not manly to feel that way. Harden up.
No.
That's what gets men down the most as a man. Right? It's the fact that we should be like this, but we're not. Why are we like that? What is there a problem with me? So it starts to add the extra stresses mentally that affect us physically, because we start to lose this belief in ourselves that we can actually go out and do something good, or we can exercise, or if I'm worried or anxious about something, there's something wrong with me. But we actually haven't taken a step back and said, why? Like, why am I feeling this way? What's actually going on? It could be nothing, or it could be something that I can be able to manage better if I was simply healthier. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of when I think about men's health, I think men's health is kind of misunderstood, but women don't misunderstand men's health. Men misunderstand men's health. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Women don't misunderstand it because women are a lot more empathetic than men are.
Yeah,
men aren't.
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
I
men
think that's
aren't
the
empathetic.
right.
So we look at a man that's struggling. What the fuck's wrong with you? Sorry to swear, but harden up. Don't be like that. It's like, man, can you give me something else than just that? You know what I mean? It doesn't actually do anything. It doesn't
There are
work.
key differences between men and women, but we are all human, right?
100%.
We all have feelings, and again, if you look at like young girls, young boys, they're very, very the same, right? In terms of like their goals, their ambitions, how much they want to play, how much they want to compete, all of these things, right? It's you kind of mentioned around men and this kind of need to sort of, let's say, toughen up, right? When we talk, and if we kind of switch that on women, right? I suppose one thing that I consider, or I see a lot, is women are naturally, like you mentioned, empathetic, right? And I think that that's part of women, but it kind of comes down to like naturally being caretakers, naturally being like Mrs. Fickett's, but maybe that's not a natural thing, right? But when women are going through perimenopause, there can sometimes be this kind of guilt cycle of I'm not doing enough.
Wow.
I'm not disciplined enough. It's kind of, it's my fault.
But
and I
them
think,
going through that.
not going, but there's symptoms, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
not taking good care. This is why I'm gaining weight, right? Those types of things,
Well, I hear
right?
some of that when I do the consults with our clients, our female ones in particular.
And I think that's quite a female trait, is to kind of get into this guilt cycle and self-blame and always think that you're not doing enough. And I think men can be a bit different in that space. Maybe not necessarily, but that's something I see a little bit more with women.
Yeah, well, I think it's case dependent as well, right? Like,
Yeah.
when I wasn't before we had our podcast today, I was on the phone to one of my female clients, has endometriosis. I'm going to refer her to you. She has endometriosis, but she was like, yeah, it's my fault. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing this. So Anthony, like, what do I need to do? Like, what do I need to change? I was like, you need to change how you think about yourself. She was waiting for a meal plan. She was waiting for the supplement protocol. I said, just stop putting yourself down about what you think you're not doing right. I said, there's stuff going on in your life, which and there is. There's stuff going on with your health. So it's okay. Well, you'll be able to get through it. So, but you won't be able to change that about your health if you don't fix the way you're looking at what's going on with you right now. And so a lot of my clients, when we do our check-ins with them, I kid you not, I spend more time talking about their mindset around nutrition, or their mindset about themselves, or their mindset around their lifestyle, way more than I tell them about the amount of grams of rice they need to be having a day. Do you get what I mean? Or the amount of calories, or the macronutrient
Absolutely
breakdown.
right.
And to me, that's like step one. Because I don't like, everyone knows how to eat well. Everyone does. Just simply cut the processed food out, have more protein, and you do a world of wonders for your body. But a lot of people need to slow down and think about the way in which they perceive their own health and themselves, so they can actually be able to change the other habits that they are so accustomed to either thinking or doing. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, like, I think about my mom again. She was always, I got to do this, I got to do that. If I don't do this, I'm doing something wrong. Going through all these health things, and I was a lot younger, so I wasn't aware, right? But now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, she was actually going through a lot. And then still doing everything else. And then the mum came in when she wasn't able to, pack my lunch the night before, and I had to pack it in the morning. Do you get what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say?
There's a lot of
So, yeah,
super women out there,
a lot.
and
Yeah.
that are doing a lot for
Everyone.
others,
Yeah.
and are really, yeah, just, and then feeling guilty about not taking care of their health, and it's like, when do you have time? It just, I promise I'm going to get back to your longevity question, but
No, this is part of it all.
yeah,
It's 100%.
on what
yeah.
you said before around women and their mindset, it just brought me to a client that I was working with just a couple of days ago, going through perimenopause, and
Yeah.
main thing for her has been weight gain.
Yeah.
Now, she's never been a woman who really enjoys exercise, and not but we caught up a few months before, and she had started doing some exercise at home, and she was really enjoying it. She was like, I'm feeling really motivated. I've lost some weight. I'm feeling sexy. All these really positive things. And we caught up more recently, and she'd been sick. She had a flu for about a week. And so she fell out of the habit of doing her morning exercise, and she just couldn't start it up again. So she kind of felt really bad that she'd kind of put back what she'd lost, that type of experience. And then, I think the food and the nutrition kind of changed a little bit as well, and a bit of a resurgence of gut symptoms, these types of things, right? And I just asked her, why did you stop, right? Why did you stop the exercise? And she immediately went, I'm just not disciplined enough. Again, it's that blame. And I had kind of said to her, but that's not, I want to take that out. Like, let's not talk that way, right? When I ask you a question of why did you stop, and you respond with, I'm not disciplined enough, where's the solution there? The solution is be more disciplined. Off you go. Job done, pay your bill, done. Like, it's not helpful, right?
100%.
Let's explore this a little bit further. What's been going on for you? What's been happening? You were really enjoying the exercise, so why did you stop? The question could be, did you find it boring? Were you getting bored? It wasn't that, she really was enjoying the routine that she had, but, increased demands with her parents, busier with her job. So she was working later. Yeah. She wasn't, because of then having to after work go home, take care of her parents, she wasn't able to get to bed early enough to kind of, she was then struggling to get out in the morning. So they're the things that we need to be talking about. Yeah. And as I said, that's why I mentioned, I think women can be really quick to kind of blame themselves, when it's like, no, you actually had a lot on, right? On your plate, when you're stuck in bed with the flu for a week, you've obviously been really run down. It can actually take months for you to get over that post-viral fatigue, and you need that rest, right?
I had a client, kid you not, was fatigued for a month after getting sick. He goes, man, what's wrong with me? I feel like I'm dying. I said, can you just drop the dramatics? You're not dying. I said, your body's still recovering.
Yeah.
I go, to not get too technical about it.
The more you push yourself when you're in that kind of recovery state, the longer your recovery is going to take. Well,
like, right? A lot of our clients will come to us like that, for example, and they're like, I want to train, but what do I do? I said, let's just do it like a long deload.
Yeah.
They go, what do you mean? Like, I want to train hard. I said, but you can't train hard right now. So I'd rather you do something than do nothing.
Yeah, we just want to get the blood moving. We want to keep you...
I said, exercising is good, especially with weights, for your immune system. It'll help you get better. So spend less time on the gym floor, more time in the sauna, let your body down regulate. Yeah. I said, you'd be surprised how quickly you recover and bounce back. Then we can go back to normal training.
Yes. But you got to feel it,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And with with women and perimenopause, I mentioned that there can be quite unpredictable changes in hormone levels, and therefore energy levels, and therefore your ability to recover from exercise. So you got to be intuitive.
Yeah, when
You
we do that with
can't-
our clients,
yeah.
our women in particular who we know are between 40 to 60, some a little bit older, but we always ask them for how are you feeling today? And I'm making a point, like, how are you feeling? The program that's set for you, are you good to do that today? Or do you want to kind of turn it back if you're not feeling up for it? Generally speaking, they're good, but on those rare occasions where they're not, it's okay. Let's maybe make half the reps. Instead of doing 20, let's do 10 reps. Or
Yeah.
instead of doing 10 kilos, we'll do 6 or 7 kilos.
But
Just get
that,
through the
that
workout.
process too, right? We've got to remember it's the same even for
Men.
menstruating women.
Yeah, exactly right.
Before
100%,
perimenopause,
yeah.
right? You completely different metabolic
Same concept, yeah.
systems every 2 weeks, right? Estrogen dominant compared to progesterone dominant,
A
right?
lot of my athletes were females, like we train a lot of competitive powerlifters, and in their prep for their meet, they're stressing when they're going through their period, like in that menstrual cycle part. Like they're stressing, and the periods, like it's all happening, and they're fatigued and they're stressing because they can't perform well in the training session. I feel like it's going to affect them on the comp day, and I say scale it back today. But what do you mean? I said just scale it back today because we go with an RPE rating, right?
I think if
I said, if your IPE 8 is 70, say if your 1 RM is 150 kilos on a squat, for example, but today your IPE is 70 kilos, your IPE 8 is 70 kilograms, we're going with 70 kilograms. I said, because next week you come back, you start to feel normal again, and we go for it. Come competition day, you're going to be fine,
yeah,
and they generally are fine. So I always kind of recommend them to just listen to the body, like you said, be intuitive, but also understand that these things happen. It's not that something's wrong, which I love that you said before. And I'm going to start using this term now. It's a natural phenomenon. Because it is, right? And when you picture it from that perspective, or you look at it from that perspective, I should say, it kind of instantly, I can feel that it would give a female so much less anxiety around what's actually happening. That is natural.
Right.
Do you get what I mean?
Exactly. When I say to women, like, look, it's, and I work a lot with not necessarily athletes, some athletes, but more just, let's say, really motivated.
There's ones that like to exercise and look after
really
themselves.
like it's so normal that last week when you were ovulating, you benched 60 kilos. And then this week when you're day 21 and prime progesterone, you're struggling with 50.
Yeah.
That is okay. It's normal. But don't see that as a problem. Because if you try to push to 60 on day 21 of your cycle compared to day 14, you're going to suffer.
Yeah.
Like not necessarily, that's the wrong way to look at it, but
no, you will though. You will.
That's when you're going to start having hormonal and premenstrual symptoms, painful periods, right? Because you're not listening to your body.
Yeah.
But progesterone is not a bad thing. It doesn't make you weak. It's actually really anti-inflammatory. Actually, your recovery is really good. But
ladies, listen, please listen.
It's not a bad thing. It's an anti-inflammatory hormone. So this is a good time for you to just drop the weights
and let yourself recover a bit more.
And boost your recovery. It's a really good time to do. It doesn't have to be a full deload, but a slightly, slightly
5 or 10%.
Bring it down
as opposed to a 50% decrease,
and enjoy it. And then I guarantee you, on day 1 of your period, you're going to be bouncing back to the gym with great energy.
All my clients laugh. They go, man, my favorite week in the gym is a deload week.
Yeah.
They always laugh. They say, it's a great week this week.
You'll be bouncing back next week. And, sometimes I find, especially, like with athletes or people training, like when you drop the weight, that's when you can really focus on your form, your technique,
so
your
much good happens from that, yeah.
So much positive stuff can happen
my
from
athletic
that time.
clients, like Ben competes in a lot of our powerlifting stuff. A lot of Ben's wife as well. A lot of our other clients compete. When we bring the weight down a little bit and then they slow down the reps and they focus on form, the enjoyment of that session, funny enough, is actually more because they're not developing a skill, they're refining their skill.
Yeah.
Which
and I think
you leave feeling a lot more
accomplished. You
accomplished.
feel it the next day
you do, yeah.
because you're not ego lifting.
Yeah.
You're actually really targeting and activating the right muscles, right?
Yeah.
Now, going a little bit back to longevity.
Well,
right?
I was going to say, let's segue back into it because we're talking about muscles now.
We're on a good timing when we're like, okay, I know we've segued, but we're going to go back.
Right. If you ever listen to my episodes, I segue about 1,000 times an episode, don't worry.
But going back to longevity, right? And that's why I think it's a good segue. I was talking about bone health and muscle mass, right, for women. And this doesn't, unfortunately, this really can't start at 45 or even 55. Ideally, we want this to be starting at 50.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't mean 15-year-olds should be, lifting heavy weights, but
they should be
I'm
in the gym,
talking about
moving, learning skill development, movement.
Activity levels, right? Activity levels. So kids playing sport.
Yeah.
Very important for girls and boys, right? But let's be specific on girls. Girls playing sport, playing netball, running, jumping, landing on concrete, right? Not falling, but
know what you're
that
saying. Yeah,
impact
yeah.
on concrete, or running and playing football. Those impacts are what help to develop your peak bone mass, which for women,
Yeah.
we achieve it about, by age 25. Peak bone mass is achieved, right? From there, it's a maintenance game. So that's where I say, like, for women and for young, teenagers and girls, playing sport is really important, but also enjoying movement. It's very hard for someone who's never exercised or played sport in their maybe like mid-30s or 40s to be like, what do I do? They haven't got that development, right?
That's what tends to happen. with a lot
Yeah,
of
if
people.
you get, a kid who's maybe really interested in tennis, like, you don't have to be an athlete, you don't have to be a tennis pro, but if you can start, getting them to do some training at the gym that's going to help support their tennis, that's a good way to introduce gym to young people, right? So I think sports are really important for kids, and movement in general is important for kids. For girls, peak bone mass, as I said, about 25, from their maintenance gain. So again, those early years of for a lot of, not a lot, maybe for a lot of people, right? After high school is a time that we do become more sedentary. But that's a really important time for women to be maintaining activity and exercise before birthing children. After birthing children, we've got to find, we need to find strategies to kind of get back into that, so that by the time you're 45 and possibly starting to experience perimenopause, you're good to go. You know what to do. We just shift a little bit the type of training that you're doing. Maybe we try to, reduce intensity in terms of particularly cardio type of intensity, because we don't want to be triggering stresses in the body. But by that point, you've got the base. You've already got the skills and the muscle mass to just work on building it.
Yeah.
Because a big issue for women from, perimenopause and definitely menopause onwards is you can lose bone and muscle very quickly. And I've seen it. It's quite, confronting for some women age 45 who have a DEXA scan, which is a bone density scan, and they're already osteopenia verging on osteoporosis. At that point, it's not, it can be improved. Right, but it's a challenging journey because you got to start slow.
Yeah.
You can't just start resistance training from nothing.
We had a
Right.
client like that. She came to me. She actually broke her elbow. She fell, she broke her arm, shattered her elbow. She came to me for rehab. But then when they did the scans on her, they realized that, hey, you got early onset of osteopenia.
Yeah.
Anyway, she was telling me as I was doing a training session together, and I said, okay, now you actually have to start training more consistently than once a week for half an hour. So what do you mean? I said, you need to get into the gym at least 3 times a week with me, and we're going to start slow, we're going to build it up.
Yeah.
She started doing powerlifting competitions at the end of it,
Wow.
right? 140 kilo deadlift, 100 plus kilo squat, 60 kilo bench press.
And I'm
And she
imagining
was
her bone density scores really improved, right?
She's reversed the whole thing. Her doctor said, what are you taking? She said,
Yeah.
nothing. She says, only thing I'm taking is vitamin D, because I recommend her take a vitamin D, and just strength training.
Yeah.
And obviously she was quite good with her food. So the foundational stuff, as you mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
we hit it like nail on the head with it all.
Yeah.
Her arm was like this when she came to me. It's
Yeah.
there now.
And I think it's
everything's normal, right?
It's really important for, I think, for women who want to start resistance training and strength training, because I know that it's good for them in perimenopause and menopause.
Yeah.
Please get support with people like you. Like, don't go at it on your own.
You can. You're just gonna make mistakes that you could otherwise avoid.
Yes, right. And there are some women that I work with who are really want to do their training at home by themselves with their, and I'm like, okay, start there. But it doesn't have to be a permanent thing, right? But at some point, I think to be really targeted,
Yeah.
you should bring a professional into the mix, right?
In some
They can just
degree,
bring you,
yeah.
even just work with someone to give you a program, right, to start with.
It
See them
helps.
again in 6 months and
really
progress
helps,
it,
yeah. Yeah.
I think it's important when we're trying to be targeted. And this is especially when we're talking about people who had a history of going to the gym. Because all too many times I see, I started exercising, I was going to this class, now I have sciatica, now I can't exercise for 6 months. I see that pattern too much. So that's something that I really, really encourage people.
Yeah.
Just get some support when you want to start training.
Well, the problem with that, right, and this is my opinion anyway, like the industry in that I'm a part of, the fitness industry, People look at the gym like it's a place you go to destroy yourself because you don't like how you look. Right? They've always viewed the gym that way. And I have a very big point. I've done this for a lot of my career. The gym is a place you come to build yourself up into the version of yourself that you want to become. Whatever that version is what it is for you. But the gym is the vehicle for you to improve your health, to build your muscle, to improve your immune system, to build your confidence. Yes, to lose weight, of course. If that's your goal, let's work on that. But also to reverse, some of the symptoms of your autoimmune disease, to improve your muscle mass so you have better longevity and better quality of life. Like, that's what the gym can do. It's not just a place to go to sweat and to jump and to ruin yourself in a class because that's the only way you think that you should be exercising to be effective for you. All right, so for us, it's we definitely take your time, do it properly because it will last longer approach. But some people, they just don't like that. They want to come in, sweat it out, and leave.
Yeah.
That's cool. Do your thing. But there's some people that are coming to me 6 months later going, Anthony, I got sciatica.
Yeah.
Anthony, I felt my back doing this class. And I'm just like, I'm not happy to hear that. And I wish you listened to me from the start because 6 months has passed now and I feel like you have to start again.
Everyone's on their own journey and everyone needs to do things their own way, right? But I suppose the way I frame it with people who, and maybe it sounds like you're a bit the same, is I want to focus on you. I want to focus on your health and your happiness.
Yeah.
And weight loss will happen as a side effect of that.
100%.
So I really want you to throw those scales off the balcony.
Yeah.
Don't
And then,
you know?
and then run over it.
And just who, like, I don't care about that, For me, I'm like, I want to work on that, we want to, let's track your cholesterol. Let's every 3 months, let's check your cholesterol. That for me is so much more valuable than jumping on the scale once a week to see if you've lost 500 grams,
Well, what's the scale? Your relationship with gravity at that given point in time?
It's nothing,
You know what I
right?
mean? Like, what does that tell you?
And focus on your health and your happiness.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I love that.
And if going to the gym helps you, like, is not stressful for you and it feels good, you've got a nice community, or maybe you just enjoy it. Maybe it's a way to just get away from your husband and your kids. It's your you time.
It's your time, yeah.
Right. And that's for some people beautiful. For others, it's not their thing. And that's for them. I say, look, let's start with some walking.
Yeah.
Right.
Get
Everyone
outside,
can walk. Let's get outside. Let's try to build up from there,
My mum was the same. Like, she never exercised ever. And she always used to think of the gym as a place to go to where you lose weight. My mum was always a skinny woman. So she's like, what do I need the gym for?
Yeah.
Now she's in her 60s and she's exercising because she started to realize, hey, like, I got arthritis and I need to look after my health now.
Yeah.
I need to build my bone density. I need to get some muscle.
Exercise is
And so
not
she's training.
about weight loss.
Yeah, she walks in, hates it. I see her face. It's like she doesn't want to be here. But when she leaves, she feels $1 million. And then she's got more energy than my son.
When we talk
Right?
about, in medicine, often there's that term of like the silver bullet, right? The drug that fixes everything, right? It's exercise,
Yeah.
right?
Not peptides,
And
exercise.
it's exercise, not peptides, exercise, right? Mental health, emotional well-being, your
does
environment,
it all.
social,
Yeah.
metabolic health, your liver, your gut, the whole thing, it's there, right? So it's about finding a routine that is sustainable and enjoyable for you
Yeah.
to keep you healthy,
Well, I read a study and it was talking about whole body training, but not whole body high intensity training, just whole body weights training. In, like you say, you do 3 or 4 sessions a week, whole body sessions every time, and the link to that and improve gut health. And I was astounded. I was like, really? Nothing else changed for these people that were in the study around what they did. They kept everything the same, and they weren't eating poorly. They kept everything the same. The only thing that changed was the way that they trained. And the ones that did the whole body routines improved in the way in which their body responded to the food with bloating and constipation, that kind of stuff. And it was just such a cool thing. Now I started implementing that with some of my clients. And I tell you what, to see it actually happen in real life is amazing. And nothing else was changed except the exercise routine that we put together for them.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with you. Yeah.
It's really important. And that's why I think it's really important that people find a way to enjoy it. And like you said, we've really got to shift. And I think, people like yourself in your industry are doing a really good job at that.
Thank you.
Gym is not for weight loss. Gym is for your life. It's for your happiness. But, I suppose the layer I'll add to that is it doesn't have to be the gym.
Just movement. Just movement. Yeah. I started training out of my own garage because I was too anxious to go to a gym when I was 15, 16. Right? And I started in the garage. And the only reason I went to the gym is because I didn't have any more weights left. Right? I got too strong for my home gym, and then I moved into a gym, which allowed me to go to the next level. But what the training did for my confidence when I was that age, because I didn't have much confidence. I was very skinny, right? So for me, I wanted to get bigger so I could keep up with everybody else playing rugby league. So what the gym did for my confidence was huge, way before it did anything for me physically in terms of how I looked. Because as you know, it takes time to build muscle. But I'll tell you what, the confidence came within the first session.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
You
And I
know?
see it on my clients. It's the best feeling.
But even like, let's say women, maybe men, maybe later, maybe, first grandkid, right? There's that, with kids, you got to be on the floor. You want to be, and especially, I think grandmoms are so generally like so affectionate. They want to crawl with you. They want to cuddle you. They want to chase you. Like that's, you can have that confidence,
Well, the beautiful thing about what you just
need
said,
that movement, the
you
mobility.
100% do. My grandmother, she's still alive. I got one of my grandmother still alive. This one in particular, she would rumble my brother and I and beat us on the floor. Right? And I tell people that story and they laugh. They go, nah. I said, yeah,
She would,
her.
yeah.
The woman who's 87, 88 years old now, she's a great grandmother now, and she bends down, picks up my son, sits with him on the floor.
And this is, again, beautiful segue back to that longevity
It
question.
is. That's
I told
longevity
you we'd
right
go a little
there.
bit roundabout, but
We'll
we
get
got
there.
there.
We always got there, yeah.
If you've got the bone health, the bone strength, and the muscle mass, there's nothing that's going to slow you down. We're all going to
100%.
die. There's no way around that. But I think how you live the last 20 years of your life is so important.
But it also starts before, what you're doing 20 years prior to that impacts that, right?
Absolutely, right? But that's what I'm saying. Like everything you do from child, right, from the kid playing soccer to an 88-year-old who's living at home by themselves independently without having to worry about if I fall, I'll break a hip.
Yeah.
Right. That's the timeline. And that's where exercise comes into the mix.
Yeah.
Right?
One of my earlier episodes with my brother, we were talking about health and longevity, and how important building muscle is, right? And we mentioned our other grandmother. She died at 69, but about 10 years before that, so she was like maybe early 60s or late 50s, she fell. She broke a hip. And I kid you not,
They're recovering.
nothing was the same from
Yeah.
there.
But that's, I don't have the stats on it, but I'm sure,
They're quite high.
it's the amount of older people falls. And then, a lot of people will explain that for people when it comes to their elderly parents or grandparents. After the fall, she was never the same.
Yeah.
And I think it affects like mentally, the confidence. It can trigger anxiety,
Well, that was the last
depression,
time she walked
and all of
properly.
those kind of neurological symptoms can trigger you think not trigger, but
It
can be
did-
a part of
it
that
did
kind of
trigger
dementia.
other issues for her.
Yeah,
In time,
so-
other issues came. Muscle dystrophy. She got diagnosed with like some kind of muscular disorder and then cancer, and she ended up dying from those. But it's all started the day she fell and broke her hip. Even after she had the operation, did the rehab, she never walked without a frame ever again. And even walking with the frame, maybe a meter or two, and then she'd have to sit down. Like it's just nothing was
And
ever the
it's
same.
again, happiness. I say happiness, right? You want to be as an older person. I'm gonna go visit my grandkids, or I'm gonna go see my friend across. I want to get the bus to do this. You want that independence. That's joy. That's happiness.
Yeah, it is.
That's it's loneliness is a big factor for older people as well. But if you're stuck in your house because you don't have the mobility or the confidence to get out and about, that's a factor.
Yeah, even the ones in the nursing homes,
Yeah.
right? When I was a lot younger, we did with my church. We used to go to the nursing homes and give them the Eucharist. And those old people, one man in particular, I'll never forget him. I used to see him every week, and he said, "You're the only person that comes and visits me." He actually broke my heart. Right? He's immobile in his bed all day, and his kids don't come see him. Whatever. I don't know what the personal story was, but just stuff like that. I'm just like, far out, man. Like I would never ever want my life to be like that.
Yeah.
He was a lovely man. My 3 or 4 months that I was there doing that, he was like the highlight of that for me, right? But it just makes you appreciate so much more your health.
Yeah.
And the independence that having good health gives you. Right? My grandmother gets up and walks around, does whatever she wants. All right, she can't drive, so we take her where she needs. But if she wants to walk to the bus stop, she go to the bus stop. Don't worry. She told the bus driver where to go. That's how much she knows Sydney roads. And she's got the independence, right? She's got mentally, she's great. Physically, she's not dependent on anybody.
Yeah.
She walks up and down stairs, no issues, does everything for herself. She still cooks for the whole family. Like, it's the best.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that I have the ability to what I do for work and what I've learned over the years, to have that impact on my family,
Yeah.
you know, and then to have impact on our clients that therefore has positive impact on their families. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
That for me is a real big passion point for why I love my job.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be the same with you, right? It's not just a client that you're fixing or you're helping or you're supporting. It's the flow-on effect that has on their families. Because I think it's such a beautiful thing that we can do for people is two things in particular. Pay it forward, because I'm sure somebody would have helped you through something. A lot of people have helped me through my things, right? So paying it forward to me is so important. But number two, and this is why I started the podcast, to pay it forward. Number two, generosity. Like your time today with me, that generosity you're showing me, it's definitely appreciated by me. And in whatever way I can support you in return, I will, right? But generosity is huge, because when you give it to somebody and not want anything back in return, two things for me. One, it says volumes about your personality and who you are, but also it shows how much you actually care about the individual in front of you. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So our jobs, a lot of that, people don't understand this about our jobs. People think it's just a transactional thing. It's actually not a transactional thing. It's more of a pay it forward, but a generosity thing, because we know to the depths that you don't ever understand how much of the change we're actually helping this person adopt into their life, and then the flow and effect that's going to have.
Yeah.
I just wish that they would actually understand that as well, that if they're committed to that change and they're committed to just doing the one or two things differently in the day or in their week that we advise them to do, the huge improvements in their life that they could actually be able to have. Right? From a longevity standpoint, not from a weight loss standpoint, from a simple longevity standpoint, right? Because to me, too many people are getting diagnosed with too many diseases, more and more and more each year, but the age that they're getting diagnosed is getting lower and lower and lower. And that really irritates me, because they're so avoidable. Do you get what I mean? Like, a lot of these things are so avoidable. And if we just were able to go, you know what, I'm going to listen a little bit better. I'm going to ask questions a bit more. I'm going to support a little bit more. I'm going to make sure someone is feeling okay. I'm going to encourage them to keep doing what they're doing and not put them down when I see them trying to improve themselves. How much of a different world would it be in the realm of health and longevity if we simply just did more of that? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And going back to female health, the more that we know about it, the better it's going to be from a male's perspective to simply understand what my mum's going through, what my wife's going to go through, what my mother-in-law goes through, what my grandmother's going through, what all my aunties that I love and care about are going through. Because if we're going to call ourselves loving and supportive men, this is a part of that. Understanding is honestly a part of that, right? And because 98% of my clients are female, I better be good at knowing that stuff too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I truly believe that, you know, you're doing a lot of good work. You really are. And from that perspective, especially the longevity, quality of life, again, that's generosity. That's paying it forward. And that's how much I love it. That's how much it's such a passion point for me. Do you get what I mean?
I think it's impossible for us to do our jobs if we don't care. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
if you're trying to help people with
good,
their health,
yeah.
but you don't care, it's awful. It would be awful. It would just feel transactional, and it's not satisfying for
anybody
for
involved.
me.
Yeah.
It's just not going to work for you, you know. And so there's a really big difference in that approach.
Yeah.
And
would you say, sorry to cut in, would you say would that be one of the main reasons why you went for wanting to become a naturopath? Because of the fact of it's that extra time, that care, that holistic approach, the long-term, root cause fixing kind of style that you go to? Is that aligned with how you are as a person?
Like a lot of people, as a younger person, I had my own concerns and my own issues that weren't being addressed by medicine. And I didn't come from like a naturopathic sort of family, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm the only one that looked into this stuff as well.
Yeah, so it kind of came quite out of the blue, but I was lucky to kind of stumble into a naturopath's clinic to get some support as a young person, and that's what changed things for me, because it was a conversation, maybe as a young person, still now, I'm not the best at talking about how I'm feeling. And I think that's the case for maybe a lot of people. I don't know.
Everybody.
But to have someone to just listen to me for an hour or more about what I was dealing with my health, and they didn't fix it, but I just felt understood and
Yeah.
understood that, okay, there's more to this. It's not as simple as take this steroid or take this medication, take these antidepressants, all that type of thing. I'm like, but what's going on for me? What is this?
I
Like,
was
why
the
am I
same.
like
I was
this?
very much the same.
And getting that support from someone. And actually, I think, again, I was quite young. I never went back. But it was just that first appointment for me. I should contact that naturopath and tell her, like, you changed my life. But, because I never went back. But it was just enough to be, to feel understood.
What
and
got
to,
the ball rolling for you, built the momentum for you, maybe planted the seed.
to understand
Yeah.
that it got me to that place of, all right, what's actually going on? And that's where I kind of really became obsessed with this kind of root cause analysis.
I love that.
And this holistic approach.
Yeah.
And I think when you're practicing naturopathy using this vitalistic philosophy of the body wants to recover, the real belief in that, plus a holistic approach of treat the person, don't worry about the symptoms. It changed my health. And health is a journey, not a destination, right? Nothing's perfect. I'm always working on it, right? But it really helped me to understand things. And even when things go wrong, I don't get worried about it. I'm like, okay, let's just investigate this a little bit. Let's try to understand what's going on here.
Yeah.
And I try to really have those same conversations with my people.
Yeah, I love that.
And I think that's why I do what I do,
Yeah.
But I couldn't be a naturopath without caring.
Yeah.
It would be awful. It would be terrible.
I remember I used to train my friends when I was younger. I wasn't even qualified. And we used to train together and they'd say, oh, can you write me a program? Because you seem to know what you're doing. And I'd read all the bodybuilding.com forums and try to figure it out that way back then. And one of my friends just said to me, he goes, man, you seem like you really like this stuff. I said, what's this stuff? He said, programming for people, like training people. There's a personal training course you can do. And at the time I was looking at going to become a physiotherapist because that was kind of the only thing that really interested me. And he said, you should do that. Try to do a PT. So I deferred my course, did PT, and I never went back to uni because I just fell in love with everything I was doing there. I do kind of wish I went and did my tertiary education at, like, not so much TAFE, but at university.
It's never too late.
At 34 years old, I feel like if I was to do it now with the current life that I have, it'd be quite difficult. But maybe in another year or two when things calm down a little bit more, I can definitely do it. But I definitely have a really good passion, a big passion to simply just learn more. But I'm really enjoying the nutrition side of things because, like I said, I'm a nutritionist as well. And I have a really big passion and enjoyment for learning about that stuff.
It's because of your passion for exercise, you know that one can't function without
can't
the
work,
other. They
yeah.
are together, right?
They have to work together.
It's the same thing for me, right? I'm not a PT, but I really encourage, or I really understand the
connection,
importance,
yeah.
all right? And, I say this, like, for women perimenopause, when it comes to metabolic health and weight management, let's just go in that category.
Yeah.
I say, exercise and nutrition, 50-50.
For our listeners, sorry to dive in there, explain or give us some examples of what metabolic health is.
When I say metabolic health, I mean your blood sugar, your cholesterol, your liver function, and your weight management. So being able to stay in a healthy weight range,
Yeah.
right? Metabolic health. I say for women perimenopause, 50-50.
Yeah.
Post perimenopause and menopause, 65-35.
Wow. Metabolic health.
Yeah, I think exercise is more important in that age group.
Holy moly.
We know it, right? The reason
Yeah.
I say that is because we know that women who are eating the same, exercising the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
Perimenopause hits, if nothing changes, you will gain weight,
Yeah, that's true.
right? That's why I say that the exercise is more important,
Yeah.
right? Because we can have lean people
Well, I wouldn't, yeah.
who will gain weight even if they eat exactly the same,
Yeah.
right? It's because of those metabolic changes that occur in terms of
100%,
your body
yeah.
composition due to those hormonal changes.
Yeah. Well, I like the fact you said exercise more, not eat less. I love it,
Exercise,
yeah.
it's
Don't starve yourself to lose weight. Exercise more, keep it in
yeah,
the
look, and
same, if not more.
even for some people, it's just exercise differently.
Yeah. Well, this is
Right?
about strength
We
training.
got it. Yeah,
less
we
HIIT
got it.
training.
For most people, we want to just make it, if they're already exercising, just a little shift more towards your muscle building.
Yeah. So we do lots
Right?
of strength and less.
Yeah.
Very minimal hit.
For me, I wouldn't, I've got a lot of, if I've got a perimenopausal woman or even a someone with hormonal fluctuations or
Yeah,
imbalances.
HIIT training is not going to be good
I'm
for
like,
them.
no.
That's
If
not.
I would really, I'd prefer walking and yoga than HIIT training for that
Yeah,
person right
yeah.
now, right? But a little bit of a shift there.
Well,
but you
I
can
fucking
be.
hate HIIT training in general. Like nothing against anybody. It's just my preference. Like, give me a good squat over 10 burpees any day of the week.
It's again, it comes down to
Your preference,
fun,
yeah,
right?
of
If you
course,
have
yeah.
fun, do it, but don't understand what your
Off the
purpose
road
is,
here,
right?
there's a gym here called The Yard, right? The lady that runs it, she's an absolutely lovely lady. And they very much do a lot of HIIT style training. And a lot of my friends train there, a lot of people I know train there, and they love it. And they say, oh, what's better? Like what we do here, what you do here? I said, what you do more of and what you enjoy is the most important thing. They look at me like, I said, I'm never going to tell you leave there and come here. I'm never going to say that a HIIT training is better for everybody than weight training. Or what I'm going to say is one thing only. What you stay more consistent with is what's going to be better for you. But obviously, you've got to enjoy it as well. And that's what I've always told people. Anthony, what's the best diet? The one you stay consistent with. Anthony, what's the best way to train? The one you stay consistent with. Anthony, what time should I go to bed? Go to bed at a consistent time. It's all about consistency for me, right? But when it comes to training, I love that. Like, just enjoy it, because if you're not enjoying it, you're not actually going to put much effort into it anyway. And then you're not going to get not going to get much out of it anyway either,
Yeah. So it's individual approach, but you can't, there's no way to deny the importance of
strength training.
of
Well, it's
of
becoming
strength
more and
training.
more of a thing.
It doesn't have to be huge as well either, right?
You don't have to
Honestly, I think
max out on everything.
Not
you
at
do.
all.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think twice a week of a good, 2 full body sessions a week.
That's what we tell a lot of clients.
And
I
they
mean,
don't have to. You don't have to be so hard, but that you are just, let's say, stressing the muscles a little bit and trying to
Causing it to
progress a
adapt,
little.
giving it some stimulation, yeah.
That's enough for like the basic needs. And then if you want to do your HIIT on top of that, or if you just like walking your 10,000 steps a day on top of that, by all means,
There's a lot of people that, like, when I'm at a family dinner or we gather around a barbecue, people find out what I do for work and they ask me 1,000 questions. How many times a day should I train? I train 6 days a week. So that's great. Should I train less or more? So what do you like? How much should I train? I said, train minimum twice a week. Somebody comes into the office with me and wants to sign up. They say, so do I have to train 5 days a week? I said, no. I said, I'll give you a plan that looks after 5 days a week for you. I said, but training here, minimum of 2. If you can do 2 days a week, the rest of the days you come in and do a walk in a sauna, I'm very happy. And they look at me like, really? I said, yeah. I said, who tells you, what makes you think you have to murder yourself or belt yourself in the gym every day to get a result? I said, athletes don't even do that. What makes you think a general population person should do that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, as an athlete, like, I used to compete in boxing, high-level boxing, powerlifting, which, like, with my boxing, we'd have a taping off period before a fight, or we'd have deload weeks scheduled in our training, or with powerlifting, we'd train 4 days a week. The rest of the time was spent on recovery, let the nervous system recover so you can perform better. If an athlete's doing that and they're looking a certain way and they're performing really high, why shouldn't a general population person understand that recovery is just as important as exercising, right? But you don't have to train 5-6 days a week to get a result. You know what I mean?
It's all depends on your goals, all depends on your goals, right?
We have guys that train 5 days a week.
yeah.
But I say, listen, when Monday, Tuesday, you go hard Wednesday, walk and sauna. But I want to train. I said, walk and sauna, you can train hard on Thursday.
Yeah.
And they love me for it because Wednesday comes and they're belted, they're sore.
Yeah.
I said, get in the sauna and go enjoy some recovery.
That's that when especially when you're burning calories when your muscles are adapting. The next day, the day after, 72 hours, right? You're still burning. You're still in that growth stage, right? So you're still that's the benefit of strength training.
Yeah.
You get really
Calories
good.
don't stop.
You
after
get
you
really
train,
good bang for your buck. The more muscle mass you have, the faster your metabolism is. Great, really good bang for your buck.
100%. I love
But
that.
that's again like we've got to link it into to let's say to nutrition as well and to women's health.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no hard and fast rule. Like one thing that I hear a lot for women and I think, oh, perimenopause, weight gain, so I'm going low carb. Wrong. Like so wrong. Like that is such a misconception that people have. And we've got to base, your nutrition around your lifestyle and around your movement, right? If someone is, girl or guy, doing strength training 5 days a week, you need a lot of carbs.
Exactly.
You need a lot of carbs, and if you don't eat those carbs, you're not gonna be effective. You're gonna stagnate. You're gonna burn out.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna feel well. That's when you're gonna start getting sick all the time. Not good, right? But then you compare that to maybe someone who's doing their general, not pushing too hard, like moderate intensity to 2 full body strength days a week,
Yeah.
you still need carbs, but just less than the person doing those
exactly
5
right.
days a week, right? So we've got to manage that,
Yeah,
right?
we try to have a bit of a balanced approach between all 3 macros.
Yeah.
But the calories is working with the macros is really important as well. So a lot of our clients come to us and they come from that whole hard dieting life of 1,200 calories, 1,000 calories, intermittent fasting, anything that could mean that would restrict themselves from food because that was their answer to losing weight. And they find that they would initially lose, but then the body adapts, and then it holds on, and then you start putting on. And they said, something's wrong with my body. I said, no, nothing's wrong with your body. It's literally working as best as it can in the environment that you've subjected it to. And then we go down this whole rabbit hole of the fact of your body doesn't care about your abs. It cares about survival. So if you're going to give it nothing, it's going to work as best as it can with nothing, which means, though, that it only cares about keeping you alive. So if it means that it's going to hold on to everything that you're eating and not burn off anything and down-regulate a lot of the other systems, it will.
This is so important when it comes to particularly perimenopause.
Yes.
Where I mentioned there's this up and down of estrogen, where and possibly low progesterone levels. If there is anovulatory or cycles without ovulation, we got to like the female hormonal system. The whole purpose is to get pregnant and have a baby. That is the whole purpose.
Yeah.
And be a mother. Get pregnant, have a baby, be a mother. So things like carb restriction can be perceived by the body, by the nervous system as a threat. It can be interpreted by the nervous system as a famine.
Yeah.
So if you are over-exercising and under-eating, you're not going to ovulate.
Yes.
Right?
100%.
And then you can start experiencing these more extreme perimenopausal symptoms.
Yeah, wow.
Because the fluctuations are
even worse.
Yeah,
wow.
Right? So that's where, again, like being intuitive, especially as women, when it comes to like hunger is important.
Yeah.
Because feeling genuinely hungry is like the enemy of healthy hormones.
Yeah.
So if you're carb restricting or food restricting or calorie counting in general, that's where you'll start having issues with perimenopause.
Wow.
Chances are you're probably not going to lose weight. And you're just going to feel worse, and then you get stuck into that guilt cycle again.
Far out.
So really, really important that women are intuitive with these kind of things. And what I always say to women is, if you are eating good, unprocessed, fiber-containing foods with an adequate amount of protein, you can trust your hunger signals. Eat when you're hungry.
Yeah.
If you've had your 3 meals and your dinner and you're like, oh, I'm still bloody hungry, please eat.
Yeah,
Don't eat candy, but like maybe make yourself a bowl with some yogurt and some nuts.
Yeah, I always tell people have some yogurt and berries if you're so hungry after dinner.
Yeah, right. Like that's all, and then think, okay, tomorrow maybe I've got to have a bit of a bigger breakfast. Right? Don't restrict.
Yeah,
right?
that's
you've got to start thinking that way. Women are a bit different to men in that sense because men don't have those hormonal fluctuations that can affect your metabolic rate. We know that women's metabolic rate can change day to day.
Yeah.
How much depending on where they are in the cycle.
Yeah.
And for perimenopause, that's hard to predict. Right?
Okay.
For a perimenopausal woman, you can be in that, let's say that premenstrual week, which is usually a week for most women before you could be stuck there for 3 months.
How?
Right? Because your hormones are stopped.
Oh, in that sense,
right?
okay, yeah.
Do you know what I'm like? You could be stuck at that stage, at that kind of level of hormones for a month, for 3 months. You don't know, right?
Far out.
You're not, because the cycle is not flowing monthly. You can have periods where you're in one point and then you're like, let's say premenstrual for a month.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my
and when
gosh.
you're premenstrual, we know that your metabolic rate is 20% higher than what it was when you're not premenstrual.
There you go.
So
It
how
impacts everything else.
exactly?
Yeah,
and if you
far
don't,
out.
if you don't be intuitive with that, you're going to feel really crap. You're going to get anxious. You're going to get depressed. You're going to have very low energy. You're going to have, you get what I mean?
Yeah. So a key with that in terms of being intuitive is also actually understanding, like having a bit of education around it.
Yes.
Okay, I love that. I'm learning so much, by the way. This is so cool.
Yeah. So appetite changes for women, again, totally normal, part of this normal phenomena.
Yeah.
But in order to be intuitive, we need to be eating whole, unprocessed foods.
Yeah, always.
Because if you're eating, let's say, chips and candy, that's when you can't trust your hunger signals.
Yeah,
because that's when you've got really high calories but very low nutrients.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. It's
even
not going to
like,
trigger your
you're gonna spike
satiety
your blood sugar.
hormones.
It's going to drop. You're going to crave. It's this whole cascade of things
Yeah.
that happens. Yeah.
So women should just never be scared of eating food.
Say it slower and louder for the people that are going to listen.
Don't ever be scared of eating food.
I love that.
If you were
Oh, this
eating
is so
good, balanced meals,
Yeah.
eat and like trust your hunger signals, trust your fullness, trust your satiety signals. And if you're hungry after dinner, please tomorrow have a bigger breakfast, have a bigger lunch, prepare yourself a healthy snack.
Fantastic. I love it.
That's big thing. Don't be scared of food, because as I mentioned as well, I think perimenopausal women, food is a part of the picture. Yes, your nutrition very important, but actually your exercise is, I would say, a little bit more important at that stage of your life when it comes to weight management.
Yeah.
So we want to have a good exercise, not program, but you want to make sure you're
Some kind of
exercising in a
structure, regime,
targeted, strategic way that is still fun and enjoyable, and then we'll target your nutrition around that.
Yeah.
To make sure that you are eating enough. I'm never really worried about people eating too much. I'm always worried about people eating enough. And I see a lot more issues with people not eating enough and then getting into a little bit of a binge eating cycle, which is, again, unavoidable. Got not a thing to do with discipline. The reason you're binge eating is because you were under eating.
You've
right?
got this from this
Your
family.
body is trying to help you. Your body
Exactly.
is always trying to help you. And that's I think a really important element when it comes to women during perimenopause, and especially perimenopausal weight gain. We need to be gentle. You need to be gentle with yourself. You need to understand what's going on, but don't over exercise, don't undereat. That's your enemy. You're gonna have a much worse experience, and you're not gonna get the results you deserve.
I love that. Well, Liana, look, thank you so much for today. That was, man, my mind's blown. This is awesome. I actually mean that. It was really good. I know our listeners, especially our ladies, are going to love this episode. So thank you so much. Liana, just for our listeners, where can they find you on social media, email? Do you have a website? Where can they find you?
I'm very simple. My name's Liana Madera. If you Google me, you should find me.
Well, that's how I found you.
If you Google me, you should find me. And my website is lianamadera.com. You'll find me on Instagram as well. I'm not the most active. I need to be better at that. But from my website, people can find my contact details or can book an appointment if they want.
Yeah, I searched the best naturopath in the area, and you were the first one that came up. So
good. Something's right.
You're doing SEOs right, huh?
Yeah. No, actually. So that's why I'm always like, I'm glad that
No, I did.
happens.
Yeah, when I was looking for somebody to do the health talk for our ladies, I just looked up naturopaths local to Kingsgrove, and you were literally the first one that popped up. So I'm like, yeah, cool, check her out.
Perfect.
And then,
So I'm searchable, I'm findable.
Yeah.
And always happy to, as I said, work with anyone. But yeah, I've definitely found that women's health has been my it's just something I do a lot, and something as a woman I'm really passionate about. And I think how can I explain it? I want to empower women to understand that it's okay for them to treat themselves. It's okay to say no and to put your health first. Because I think a lot of times when women are getting to that perimenopausal stage, by that point there's been maybe like years of self-neglect. When it comes to I've got to achieve. It's usually peak career time for a lot of women. So there's a lot of hard work, but it's also kids are getting, maybe really demanding. I'm driving them here, I'm dropping them off here. Yeah, and then it's also a point in time where you're dealing with, older parents and needing to take care of those. It's you're trying to maintain friendships and all these things, right? It can be a difficult time in life. And I think I just see too many women blame themselves for their health situation. And it's never too late to make a change, but a big part of that is let's talk about how you can be kinder to yourself, how we can make this work for you.
Yeah.
And you deserve that,
I love that. No, that's so well put to you. This you set up beautifully.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Man.
It was fun.
Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. If you like this episode, comment below. And don't forget, like and subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify. If anyone needs to find Liana, you can't find her, reach out to me. I'll link you guys up. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.